Good morning, I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to talk to you about you and your business. We've got lots to talk about on today's program. I'm going to spend some time with my good friend, the one and only, as we affectionately call him, Taxman Bob Loeser. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I know you tried to change the locks and turn the lights off this morning, but I somehow got in.
Yeah. Well, thank God you got here today and not Friday, because you will find all the locks. Being Good Friday.
That's right.
Yeah, so...
That's right. And on top of that, just as a side note, and it's simultaneous for the first time in like 15 years and third time in my lifetime, Good Friday and Passover run on the same eve and weekend. So talk about locks, you can throw in the bagels too.
Okay, we need some drum smear for that one.
Yes,
Awesome.
Yeah. So Good Friday, it's funny because we celebrate both religions, and so Good Friday is Friday and Easter Sunday. Passover starts Friday night for 8 days.
Yeah, I always have trouble. This is not a theological show, although, it'd be interesting. There is a program with a Jew, a Muslim, and a Christian. So but not a theological show, but I thought it, we could take an ecumenical approach. But I always wondered from as a Christian, what is the deal with calling Good Friday Good Friday? It certainly wasn't good for Jesus. So,
No.
Watch the smear drum. Don't do it now. I'm on the border of blasphemy here. But anyway, I've never understood that deal. But something more apropos to our conversation is, first of all, it's already the second quarter of 2015.
Yep. And we've got, side note, which we'll talk about a little bit later, we got 15 days until your personal tax return is due. It's time to wake up and get your stuff together.
So that's a good. And by the way, we're very lucky we get to keep Bob for 2 segments, and I'm hoping that Sigmund, my producer, has the ransom note done by then to people that might pay him, pay to get him back after 2 segments. But anyway, tell me about where people are when it comes to their tax situation. I like to get kind of a monitor. We're now near the deadline.
What's interesting, a couple things. Of course, the corporate filings were due March 15th, and the extension's good for 6 months through September 15th. We're finishing a lot of those because a lot of those carry over to the personal returns of a lot of clients, particularly if they're what they call S corporations. Partnerships are due April 15th. So simultaneously, we're working on partnerships so that we can finish them and get the personal returns done. The problem has been this year that the dear brokerage houses, with their lobbying, have pursued the government to push back the dates that they are required to file their investment portfolio 1099s. Used to be January 31st, and technically still is. Was moved to February 28th last year because they said, we got so many things that go into those numbers, we don't want to have to amend or change them 2 or 3 times. And now this year, it was March 15th, which basically gives us as preparers out there, and I'm not alone, 30 days to gather up brokerage statements, put the information in as to stock transactions. And I got some clients that run 150, 200 stock transactions a year. All right. And
essentially day traders?
Not necessarily day traders, but they're trading by month and whatnot. That they're literally, that the government is pushing us to get these returns done. Instead of a 60-day window, it's now a 30-day window. I've got clients that have trusts that do exactly what I just said, have 200, 300 transactions a year in the trust, and we've gotten those trusts done in the past at the end of February. Yesterday was the end of March, and we had just got the statements in from the brokerage statement. So be prepared when you go to your preparer and he says instead of it'll be 3 to 5 days, it's we'll have it done by the 12th of April or whatever. You're going to have to use the term suck it up. I got a client that every day this week, when's my return going to be ready? When's my return going to be ready? And I'd love to tell her that she's not the only pea in the pod, so to speak. There are 150 others, but when I get it done, I'll give you a call.
Are your clients more prepared than they normally are, relatively speaking, historically speaking, or where are they in that respect? It seems like this year has moved really fast.
They're not prepared to the extent that these third-party sources aren't getting them the information. They're more prepared as to, I think they finally looked up at the calendar last week and said, oh my gosh, I better get this to Bob otherwise. Because I've told them the cutoff date is this Friday. If I don't have it by, what is that, the 3rd? The first one, yeah, the 3rd. then we won't guarantee a return being done. I can normally guarantee that if you get your information in with the staff I've got, we'll turn that return around in 5 business days. No more.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is and then of course it's not the only thing out there. You've got the franchise tax. You've got a lot of other things. So beyond this, immediate.
Right. We do this. We do the scope. In the scope, when we do our corporate returns, we do the franchise immediately. They're not due until May 15th, but we do them, hand it to the taxpayer, and now it's off of our responsibility and into theirs to sign it and pay it.
Right.
If there's owing. Side note: the tax on that is only assessed if the sales are over $1,050,000. Mm-hmm. And most of my clients are under the $1 million or 900 threshold or whatever. So they have to file a report. They just don't have to pay any tax franchise-wise. Then you've got sales tax quarterly. That's due in the middle of April. And then payroll reports, which are both federal and state for entities that have employees and withhold taxes and all that good stuff. And I think last time we talked last month, the other issue that has been raised is a lot of people over the last couple of years have jumped up and down about filing electronically. Oh, boy, isn't that neat? Almost like Animal House.
Yeah.
Flounder. Oh, boy. It's not oh, boy. I think what I told you last time. There's fraud going on, okay? The fraud being that people have gotten Social Security numbers, have dummied up W-2s for those people. So let's just say Kevin's married to Mary, has filed for 15 years, and now Kevin is no longer married to Mary. Now he's married to Jane. And Kevin and Jane file a return fictitiously. Jane's the one that'll literally take it to the bank, who's got an insider who will cash the check at her bank. But they'll file a dummy W-2 for Kevin, who made $100,000 and had $35,000 withheld when nothing existed to that extent. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, the IRS is starting to catch it. They've actually contacted 4 of my clients in the past 6 weeks and said, hey, did you file this return? They got back to him and said, no. Well, what we're going to do then is you're going to use a PTIN number, a personal identification number, on page 2 of the tax return, which will designate that you are who you are, and you can file your return. Otherwise, all others we won't accept. So if you forget that PIN, all right, as a reminder, those people that have had this affect them, you need to put that PIN number on that page 2 of the return in order for you to particularly get your refund.
Yeah, very good. Well, you talked about the franchise tax. Next segment, I want to go into that and Governor Abbott's, advocacy for reform of that, which makes chills go up down my spine in a good way. Mm-hmm. And I got to chat with Governor Abbott last weekend, and very interesting guy. I look forward to talking about that, as well as some other stuff happening on the political front here, because although Bob is Taxman Bob and the guy to go to when looking at your financial picture, he's also very good in the political punditry. So we'll look forward to that. Your number real quick before we go to the next
713-953-1272. 713-953-1272.
And there's that music you're so familiar with when it comes to our friend Taxman Bob here on The Price of Business.
'Cause I'm the tax man.